Mrs. Maryam Rofougaran is a transformational inventor, technology executive, and entrepreneur in the field of electrical engineering, with a focus on wireless technologies. She was a co-founder of Innovent System in 1998 and has been listed on the National Diversity Council's top 50 most powerful women in technology. Maryam was instrumental in starting and building the wireless business at Broadcom and in growing it to annual revenue of more than $3 billion. Maryam has 245 issued US patents and about 70 pending US patent applications, has authored and co-authored more than 40 journal and conference papers, is a senior member of IEEE Circuits and Systems Group. She holds undergrad, graduate, and master's degree in electrical engineering from University of California, Los Angeles. Please, Ms. Maryam Rofougaran.
Hello, everybody. Let me see how this works first. So my name is Maryam Rofougaran, and I'm here today to talk about entrepreneurship and innovation. Let me start by highlighting some of the advantages and benefits of entrepreneurship. You can see from top, freedom. It's definitely one of the most important things that actually gives you joy and happiness. Because you don't have to report, you can actually focus on your vision, and you don't basically have to give in to whatever other people are telling you to do. Satisfaction. You know, in the whole process of setting up a company and getting it to the next level, there are goals and milestones and achievements that every time you actually get that, it gives you such a self-satisfaction and happiness. You learn the business. Basically, when you start something from scratch and you're taking it all the way to the exit or whatever it will be, you basically learn everything about business. You have to, otherwise you cannot do this. Focus. You are with a team, a small, talented team, and you all are trying to achieve one thing. You have to be focused. You cannot be just going around like big companies and doing something here, something there. You know what you want to get, and you learn how to be focused. Motivating culture, that's really, really critical. You know, again, it's a small team of people, very talented, all coming together to making something big or making impact in the industry, which is very, very motivating. Innovative culture. This is a small team. This group of people have come together. They know that they have to create something. They know they have to come up with new ideas. They know that in order to make something successful, they need to come up with things that haven't done before. No politics of big companies. Believe me, I've been in small companies as well as big companies, and you know, the worry about, okay, this project, do I work on this, on that? How do I actually save this exciting project for my team versus somebody else is getting it? So they're all gone. Happiness. So you can see if you achieve all these things, it brings happiness to people who work in that company as well as you, because you're actually helping it. Accelerating career paths. So, you know, again, you're coming in a company that's too small, has nothing, basically, right? And it's a small team, so it's not like, you know, I have 1,000 people and everybody gets assigned one small piece of work. Everyone has to contribute, all the people from A to Z, and they learn that. And that basically puts you and makes you very capable, and you can jump in your titles and career path going forward. Now, a few tips for entrepreneurs. Steve Jobs said it well when he said, people need to be thinking differently. So starting from top, basically, you need to be able to find difficult problems, problems that have not been solved or addressed before. You have to think out of the box. Again, you know, in order to solve these challenging problems, you need to learn how to think differently, because usually we're all sort of pre-programmed or set with our past experiences, which stays with us for a long time. And every time we want to maneuver, it basically brings us back because we're afraid. We don't know how to look at it differently. It's very critical that we think out of the box. We have to be prepared to fail. I mean, failure is part of this whole process. You fail, but then you need to be able to learn from those mistakes. And then next time, basically get up and start and do it again. But this time, use those failures to basically know what to do to make things successful. And at the end of the day, it's not only new products. It's really some of this whole thing involves some of the new models for business. So it goes beyond just creating something, an invention. You really have to look at the whole thing as a picture and what is needed in the market and what you can create that changes the market. Now, as I said before, thinking out of the box is really important, right? And again, it's not just creating a new product, it goes all the way to the business side and creating new business models as well. If you look at Apple, Steve Jobs was passionate about music. Apple wasn't doing really well in 2001. It actually was struggling. He created this very small, well-designed, very beautiful box, which is very easy to use by everybody, which basically allowed people to get their music anywhere, everywhere, basically manage their musics, and be able to download musics. So basically a hardware combined with iTunes that allowed people to do a lot of stuff. That was the first time that someone did that. It basically helped the record industry as well as the people who are using it, and he convinced the record industry that internet is something that's growing and they need to be part of it. So that was more than just creating a new product. It was actually a model, a business model as well as a new product. Uber is another example, right? Uber they don't have IPs like we all think. They're not creating any new product, but that company has grown to become the market leader in share riding market, right? Without having a single car. That's huge. That's a business model. They were able to identify a market that was not tapped before and thought how they can use regular people and regular cars, help them to make some money. At the same time, they make this venture possible. Airbnb, another example. Again, business model, tapping into the market that was not touched before in a big way. They own the whole market a big market share for rental property, and they don't own a single apartment. Now, let's look at some research that was done in 2007 by almost 1,300 business owners were basically surveyed to find out, what it is that makes, what are the characteristics of entrepreneurs and what is it that make entrepreneurs. So there are many things that are shown here, but if you look at it, first of all, it shows 43% of these people as kids used to be loners, right? They were probably thinkers, or that's happened, right? 25% were nerds, which again, I don't think it's very surprising. You see some of these nerds becoming some of the leaders today in the market. Beyond that, they looked at the characteristic of these entrepreneurs at that time. And you can see risk takers, visionaries, hard workers, good with people, optimism, and process orientation. These are all characteristics but the two that are really big here are visionary, which I definitely think is one of the most important characteristics, as well as the optimism, as well as the hardworking, so dedication. And then, they also looked at what ages people start their entrepreneurship, and it's usually between 25 to all the way going to 55, but more in the 25 to 40 kind of range. And then they asked them what motivated them. A lot of them said because they wanted to be their own boss, right, rather than passion. But it's a combination of the two. And I can see both, actually, are true. Now, I really think the factors that are very important in making entrepreneurs are a few things. I mean, there are many things, but a few things are very important. Personality, Personality is basically, again, your characteristic, that some of it you're probably born with, but a lot of it, again, come from environment and family. Families are very important because families can shape you. They can basically empower you, they can help you and encourage you with some of this characteristic, or they can basically kill them, right? So it's very important how you treat your kids and how you actually motivate them. And environment and culture. Environment and culture, to give you an example, beyond family and going into school. For example, today if you go to Stanford, anyone who goes to Stanford has, even if they don't want to, they sort of get pulled into this entrepreneurship because everyone around them. I go to the coffee shop next to the university, and all these people are sitting there talking about their business venture, how to start, how to talk to these VCs. It's amazing. So and it's in the middle of Silicon Valley where all these startups and all these big companies are. The other thing is, for example, me as an immigrant who came to the United States, and many others, right? You come here, you start feeling like second citizen. You really you get hungry, you really want to prove yourself, show that you can be somebody. Those are the kind of motivation that could actually basically make you even more empowered to go and try to do something new and become successful. Now, let me show you some of my experiences, and so that you get an idea how and why I think I've learned something, and I'm giving recommendations. I came here to pursue my educations from Iran. So I attended UCLA. I got my bachelor's and master's, and then started my PhD. And while doing my PhD, I started working and consulting with some startups and limited work with big companies. So I got the experience with the research and development, where I was actually doing research, and my initial exposures to startups, environment, culture. And that was actually something appealing to me. I really enjoyed being part of a startup at that point. Then, in the middle of my PhD, actually, my brother and I, who just had finished this PhD, we came out and started our own company, our first startup called Innovent Systems. That was end of 1998. And we pretty much, as co-founders, were involved with everything, raising money, operating, managing, coming up with vision. And that was my first real experience with a startup and entrepreneurship. Middle of 2000, we got acquired by Broadcom, so we became Broadcom, and within Broadcom, we basically started and continued sort of entrepreneurship within a big company, trying to improve, to basically bring wireless into the company and expand the portfolio. There, I was not only working, again, managing all the products and everything, but we also, as part of the executive, we got involved with doing M&A, acquisition, due diligence on startups. So now I got, a different point of view, looking at the startups from the other side, and seeing a lot of entrepreneurs and seeing a lot of VCs. After that, in 2016, when Avago acquired Broadcom, we basically started our second startup, which I am with right now. Movandi Corporation. Again, we're co-founders, both my brother and I, with many other people who joined us right away from our team. And we're involved with everything, setting the vision, customer relations, raising funds and everything. And in the meantime, some of the VCs, our VCs or other VCs, ask us to do due diligence on some companies. So I've gone through this. I've seen many different cases. And starting from top, to give you a background again as what we have done. So at UCLA, we've worked on this very exciting and innovative project where, for the first time, we're trying to put the RF CMOS, radios onto CMOS, bulky CMOS technology, digital technology, and integrate it with the digital portion, make an SoC. So we built a 900 megahertz spread spectrum radio. And we had to come up with a lot of new ideas because this was 1 micron CMOS technology, very bulky. It's very hard to even get fast digital core on this process. In the meantime, while we were doing that, and closer to the end of it, we basically started thinking, okay, we've learned so much. What can we do with what we have actually been learning? How can we use all these things and go out and try to make an impact into industry? Is there any problem we can solve? So the goal in the industry is always delivering more bandwidth, right? And they try to basically put more functionality into devices. And that always comes with challenges of making the board bigger, making the solution more expensive, and higher power consumption. We thought that our solution, by integration of these chips together, we can basically change that. We can actually deliver something that can be low cost, low power, at the same time improve the functionality and performance. So we started our first company, Innovent Systems, again, 1998, my brother and I, and our goal was to develop low-cost solutions for short-range wireless communication, initially focused on Bluetooth and wireless LAN. As a result of that, we actually got into many flagship products like, Razr, Motorola Razr was a big hit, and it had our Bluetooth in it, and it followed with many other ones. Middle of 2000, our exit was basically Broadcom wanted to acquire us, and we thought that was actually the right timing, and it made sense, so we got bought by Broadcom. And then within Broadcom, which was all about wireline and cable modem and had no wireless, we became sort of the catalyst and the group who started the wireless. So wireless started at that point. And then we started putting the team together and growing it and expanding the portfolio of wireless to make it a big portion of the Broadcom business going forward. So within Broadcom, again, as I mentioned, we did not lose the entrepreneurship kind of career. So we really wanted to continue innovation, and that's what we did. We realized that if we want to stay as market leaders, we need to keep going and making new products that can actually make the market even bigger and increase the market share. So we said, what we did in the past is not enough. Now we have to go and put multiple standards, bring a few things together, put them together so that you can make things even much smaller and make a enable small portable device that you can carry on with you everywhere and be able to get access to internet and have cellular, etc. That's where we did the very first wireless LAN Bluetooth FM chip on the left. And we also went ahead and did the very first radio plus digital, which for cellular, which cellular is difficult because it has tough specs. Again, this would enable the platform convergence, and that was our goal. So if you look at it, all these standards, if you want to take all these different chipsets, put them in a device, it's not easy to make a solution that's compact. Bluetooth, mobile TV, cellular, application processor, all that, right? Oops. Now, again, each one of these applications used to come with a device. GPS has own device. The cellular was a separate device. PDAs, portable media devices, PCs. So it was a huge deal to go and try to bring all these things together, shrink them in a way that you can put them in a smart, compact, nice package that you can carry with you, and it's powerful to give you access wirelessly. And that's basically what we tried to do, and that's what we did. So we basically made it more possible to be able to create smartphones that are small, nice looking, and that's what iPhone is all about today. Now, after that, in 2016, I mentioned Avago acquired Broadcom, and at that point of time, we realized we want to continue innovation, and this is in different environments. So we came out. Again, my brother and I, with actually some of our best smart and talented people who used to be in our team, and we all came out and started the company. in June 2016. Our goal is to enable the next generation of wireless. Next generation of wireless is all about gigabit wireless. Everything's with all this IoT, 5G, everything. You really need to move to much higher frequencies where you get the bandwidth. And it has its own challenges. Millimeter waves are challenging, line of sight, all that. So our goal is to deliver a product that enables that with high performance and low cost. The markets and applications are huge, starting with 5G, which I'm sure all of you guys have been hearing about, as well as the satellites, whether it's GEO or LEO, another application, and then fixed wireless backhaul. Some of these applications have existed, it's just that there is no good solution today for them, and that's what we're trying to change. Again, our goal is to make something that is low cost, low power, and high performance. And to do that, again, we're looking at the whole picture, trying to see how it's not just one chip or one antenna, or you're looking at it from a system level and saying that, okay, we're choosing CMOS technology because it's cheap. We're making our solution modular so that you can actually address the whole segment of the market. If it's 5G, you want to be able to go into mobile, cellular phones, as well as going to all the way to the base station. So we're making a chip that basically enables all that. Now, having gone through all these things, I've learned some things. And again, if I want to tell you what are the characteristics of successful entrepreneurs, I would list all these things. Some are more important, some are equally. Starting with risk-taking, you have to be able to take risks. You really need to say, okay, I understand our risk, but the reward is high, so I'm going to go ahead and try something new. You have to be optimistic. Every time you hit a blockage, you can't say that, okay, this is it, I'm dead. You need to be optimistic, and you need to actually keep other people motivated and optimistic. Vision is critical. You can't be very nearsighted. You really need to know what you're trying to do, and you really need to go at it and try to make it happen. Passionate, I can't tell you. The main reason passion is important is because this is a hard, it's a long road and long process, and it's hard, and if you don't have the passion and you don't enjoy it, you're gonna drop in the middle of it. Hungry to succeed. You really want to show that you can do it, or you really want to prove yourself. Determined. Communication skill. Again, it's important to be able to sell your ideas to people. It's important to get customers, to be able to communicate and say, okay, what I'm developing is going to help you with solving your issues. Embrace changes. The market is very dynamic. Customers are very dynamic. You have to be able to maneuver in between and make the right decisions at the right time. You need to basically learn how to create networks. The connections are huge. Again, some of these things are things that you learn in the process. Persistence. If the customer is telling you go away, you're not going away. You're coming back with a new kind of way of convincing them this is the right thing for you. And it's very normal. Team building. You have to be able to bring a smart, talented, and with the right personalities together and make them work together. And at the end of the day, it's all leadership. You have to be able to lead. And it's very hard to find all these characteristics in one person, especially from the beginning. Some of these things are built over process. That's why you need to be, you actually need to understand you may fail, but then you can, after learning all these things, you come back again and you do another one, right? Or in many cases, a few people with different characteristics who complement each other, they come together and they create a company, right? There are a lot of challenges. There's no doubt it's not an easy way, but starting with hiring. It's hard to convince many people that this is the right thing for you, given all the risks that are involved. And so you have to be able to convince people to join you. Understanding customers. Sometimes customers don't know what they want. They throw you a problem and say, can you solve this problem for me? And you have to basically be able to understand what can solve their problems. Getting funding, everyone knows that, right? And usually for the first-time entrepreneurs, it's a lot harder because you don't have credibility, nobody knows you. So in those cases, it's usually you have to start doing something that shows the proof of concept, and then you can go back and try to raise the money. Lack of skills, as I mentioned, it's not that everyone is born with all these characteristics, but a lot of it is basically learned over the process. And again, people get together because they know they're weak in one area to make something happen. A work-life balance, I don't have to tell you, it's going to be very killer. Short cycles that you have to develop the product. Uncertainty, you don't know what's going to happen in your Series B or Series C, whether you can raise the money, convince people that you get the right valuation, so it's always uncertain. Okay, is my paycheck coming, or my people's? It's even worse, and you know that other people's paycheck depends on you. Understanding the market, again, you really want to know what this market, in some cases you want to know what market, things that people haven't seen before, discover them and go after them. And legal, whether it's setting up your company or hiring people or even dealing with, right now, Iran and this kind of hiring people that are immigrants, all these things are issues that you have to deal with. But, again, entrepreneurship is not easy. It requires hard work, dedication, patience. There are some nights that you can't sleep because you're wondering, what's going to happen tomorrow. At the end of the day, despite all that, I can tell you it's definitely worth it. And I think, it's something that if you can, you got to try. Okay? Thank you very much. This is actually a very good question. It's not easy, right? One of the reasons we actually chose Broadcom, because we had multiple companies who were interested, Intel, Qualcomm, Broadcom. We actually looked at which company did not have any wireless, right? I mean, if we had become part of Intel or Qualcomm, I can tell you it would have been a lot more challenging. They would have completely killed, and it happens. Like, look what even at Theris, I don't think Qualcomm did a good job. It was a great team, great technology. They kind of destroy the team and everything. So that was the first thing. You really need to select. It's not just the money. You're not just trying to make money. You want to make sure you get into a company that you can basically continue innovation. Secondly, and they needed wireless badly. They had to expand and grow. So that was the first thing we did. Secondly, we had, both Reza and I were at UCLA. Henry Samily was our second advisor. On that project, he was actually handling part of the digital part of it. So we already had a good relation. That's one of the reasons we decided, even though we had better bids, we actually decided to go with Broadcom. And that was Henry has always been very supportive, very helpful. And anytime, other people try to take something or split this apart, he would have jumped in and helped to supported us on this path. And we had to fight. I mean, despite all that, believe me, we had to fight because everybody's trying to get more control, more area, and they're willing to, it's not necessarily that everyone's there is thinking about what's best for the company, it's what's best for me and how can I grow. And they put fights to split things up. Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. Actually, I had let me show you. I don't know if that was there, but I had a picture showing that me as when I was in high school, all I thought about it was space. I wanted to go to space, and that after a while became me wanting to win a Nobel Prize. I mean, you can't believe it. That was my imagination, right? Which both of them got dead because Anusha went to space, and Maryam Rofougaran got the Nobel Prize. But which, by the way, I think this event, none of these events should go on without mentioning Maryam Rofougaran's name, because I really do believe she was a great thing happening to our country and to the world. I mean, it's amazing what she's done. But so going back to the...
She was my immediate neighbor. We lived in the same building.
So you should know. I don't know her personally, but from everything she's done. Right. So we should definitely, no event should go on in Persian community that doesn't mention Maryam and her contributions. But Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever thought of, and my mom was here, wanted me to become a doctor because doctors had prestige, and you know, my first essay was, which was written by my mom. And my goal is to become a doctor. The same for my brother and everybody else, by the way. But I always had this, I mean, physics, math, and these subjects were always my passion. So that's the first, I think it put me in the right direction. So I came here, and even though my high school was biology to become a doctor, which my mom had put me, I came here, the first thing I did, which actually I got here, my brother took me to the UCLA lab, and I saw it, and I said, okay, you know what? I love math, physics. Engineering seems to be a path that is, you know, not just purely, I can eventually make some money off, you know, I don't have to worry about that. But then doing that project and getting involved, as I mentioned, with some of the startups and seeing, again, I think environment basically impact, and it was during 2000 that, you know, a lot of people were starting companies. So again, it's not, you know, at one point of time, your fundamental make your path, but then it makes you in a way that I was goal-oriented from the beginning, I was dedicated from the beginning, hardworking from the beginning. It just shifts you in different direction, and now I'm really enjoying what I'm doing.
No other question. Thanks very much, Ms. Maryam Rofougaran.
Thank you.